Welcome to another week of post-Endgame countdown to Infinity. Technically, almost a year after Infinity War, the film came out, but who knows? We may this count. Yeah, if you're asking why the name is Countdown to Infinity, it's because Infinity is how long these Marvel movies will be around for.
I feel like we've
It's cyclical. Countdown to Infinity is basically the same as Arrested Development.
Yeah.
Like we're going to be counting down forever.
I think we've covered this in a very early episode of Countdown, where it's just like, don't you count up?
Yeah,
I was like, there's no
no infinity negative
downwards. Yeah.
But this is a podcast just about the Avengers. There's a whole lot of episodes if you haven't heard it before, but there's a special Endgame stuff. But yeah, my name's Emmanuel.
Hey, I'm John.
We're going to be talking about a lot about the stuff that you guys wanted us to talk about when you reached out to us via social networking, all about the MCU, baby. But let's talk about some of the Russo brothers did this really long, crazy post-Endgame interview.
I know. Why do people keep asking the fucking questions?
Did
you notice that? Like
Yeah.
every article was like, the Russos explain this, and Russos explain that,
and they do, to their credit.
That's so crazy. Like I didn't know
Yeah.
directors needed to like
Do that,
Yeah,
which is
a
weird.
lot, yeah.
They don't really have to.
Yeah, it's just the biggest movie of all time.
It's like, what does Rosebud mean?
Yeah, and they're like, oh shit. So Rosebud was the color of Captain America's shield, and
So we're not going to talk at all about the time travel stuff because that would just bog down this whole podcast. Because honestly, who knows? Okay, and who cares?
right
at this point,
because it's not real. Like it's just in general.
But there was an interesting. The only time travel thing I'll talk about is the Russo brothers said that one of the original plot points. Because they wanted time travel. They knew it was going to happen.
Right.
But Tony Stark was supposed to use this shield that masked him or something. It's not shield, but this suit that masked him to go to Asgard to get... He was supposed to be... Because he's never been to Asgard ever. But it was supposed to be him in Asgard and he fights Heimdall. Like that was supposed to be the thing that... one of the things that they wanted to do.
Ooh.
And I was like, oh, that probably would have been...
Man?
Yeah, Iron Man.
Oh,
Wouldn't that have been
fuck.
cool? But Heimdall was the only one who could see him. That's the thing, because he's like in this, the invisibility,
Like a nano
cloak.
something. Like
Yeah.
some sort of like
Like,
invisible.
how
nano
cool
shit.
is that? He's walking by everyone, and Heimdall turns, and he's like, "Fuck, who the fuck is this
That
guy?
would've been really
Where's he
cool.
from? I gotta kill him."
I think at that point, I mean, yeah, because I was like, I did want to see more interaction. That was one of the things that, in retrospect, being a little bit removed from the movie now, weeks later, I did kind of want to see more interactions with people who had never met before.
Mm-mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because we didn't see a whole lot of that.
Yeah, I will say that though, getting Thor with his mom was a little bit of a bigger emotional mark. I guess there's a big fan thing of just seeing Iron Man in Asgard.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they picked the more emotional thing. We now know how Thanos got his whole army through the little hole. And the answer is Ebony Maw. Apparently he used some kind of...
He modified the Pym particle, I guess, or something?
Or something. No, not the Pym part. Just he shrunk the ship. Like he made everything smaller to
But
fit through
he
the thing.
gave the... at one point, Nebula gave the Pym particle to
It's true.
Thanos. So, I think he may have, extracted it and then just made his own version.
You're right. He reverse engineered the Pym particles.
Right.
Smart guy, huh?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to talk about the Spider-Man trailer that came out this last week.
Ooh,
Here
I forgot about that.
At the very
Shit.
end of this podcast. This is a teaser, baby. But one of the biggest questions was, is everyone 5 years older now, or what's the deal?
No. I mean, yes. I mean, I would assume that surviving people... Are you asking me this, or are you about to say that?
I'm about to tell you the legit answer now that we
Okay.
know the legit answer. But every single person was snapped in
Spider-Man's universe.
Mhm.
Yeah. Mhm.
So that makes sense. So they're at least the important
Just an
characters.
empty school, really.
Yeah, the important characters were gone. I'm sure they're going to address it a little bit in the Spider-Man movie, but the important ones were gone. So now they're back, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that I'm going through a list. I mean, there's Black Widow, which we'll talk about. I mean, they asked why Black Widow didn't get a funeral, but the Russo brothers are like, no one even knows she exists, like in most of the world. So it's kind of the way she goes, kind of secretly. They asked also, someone asked them about Captain Marvel, but we kind of figured the reason why Captain Marvel isn't in this movie a lot, and it was just because this movie isn't really about her. It's about the old Avengers. The old adventures. They did credit the Rat too in an interview. They said the Rat is the reason. There are 22 million other scenarios that Doctor Strange saw where the Rat did not get Ant-Man out of the thing. And so
he stayed there for just 10 hours
Yeah.
as opposed to 5 or something.
And the last thing we'll talk about from an interview is someone asked him about Captain America and Red Skull, or what happens when he like, meets up with him to put the stone back.
That's right, hypothetically.
And they did have this all laid out, and the Red Skull has none of the memories of because he's not even the Red Skull anymore.
No, he's not. He's kind of like this little omniscient being.
Like a ghost
that's
thing.
That's connected to the Soul Stone.
And he just takes the Soul Stone and puts it back in his place and waits for another person.
I think like Steve probably like hypothetically would have a reaction to him. That being said, if the Skull didn't recognize him, or if he didn't really care about their prior conflict, I don't know why they would have like, a source of conflict now, since they kind of settled it in the first movie.
Yeah, and there's really nothing. What are you gonna do? Kill a ghost or something?
Yeah, I mean,
ghost bust him.
You can't really do much. And like I said, I mean, I think if that was played out like cinematically, the person who would have just any reaction at all would be Steve, and I think he would get over it really quickly. Because what else are you gonna do?
I don't know. I feel like also that we're never gonna know. Like we're never gonna see it.
Yeah,
so.
exactly. So but I mean, it's funny to think about, and yeah, it does. It's obviously worth something if they did want to kind of like paint that picture in the future. But I don't think we'll ever see it.
There was also an interview with Hemsworth, about Thor, because some people were very not okay with the way Thor's story goes, but looks like it's going to continue. But he actually after filming Ragnarok, he wanted a more comedic role, and he was really he thought he fit in with Guardians more than the Avengers.
The Avengers, yeah. By the end of this movie.
So I think they just appealed to what they were getting from Thor Ragnarok. From
right.
him.
That being said, I think the Russos also say that like this is also everything that's set up in this movie is also not guaranteed, because like the Marvel movies coming up are still made by different filmmakers. Yeah. So they have the final choice on whether or not to either go back on these decisions or to keep them like the way they're set up now.
Yeah.
Because it really is up to James Gunn on whether or not he wants to use Thor as a Guardians member. Yeah. I don't see why not, because that opens up like some really cool possibilities. But you
kind of minimize him from being his own
thing,
guy, and to being a part of a group.
And then exactly. And the movie becomes, like I think I said it on the other podcast, like the movie becomes Thor and the Guardians of the Galaxy as opposed to just the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing, but I don't think I feel like we are talking about it in the context of our almost nostalgia for these characters, but if you read comic books, this kind of stuff happens all the time. People are coming back from the dead. People are joining groups and teaming up for one-off missions or things like that. So we kind of have to get used to that. But yeah, so the biggest news that came out this week, enough about Endgame. All right, enough. I'm just kidding. No,
because it's over.
It's over. Nobody even likes it anymore. I'm just kidding. Billions of dollars are being made every week, and we'll see if Detective Pikachu beats it. But the biggest thing that happened this week was the new trailer for Spider-Man: Far From Home. Comes with a lot of spoiler warnings.
That is the second biggest thing this week.
What is the first biggest thing?
My kidney stone.
Okay.
I'm not laughing. I'm just playing.
He's passing it right now in front of me. It's pretty big. It's like a reversed hen laying an egg. Well, actually, here's what we'll do. We'll play that trailer right now.
The Spider-Man Far From Home trailer is about to play, but if you haven't seen Avengers Endgame yet, stop watching because there's some serious spoilers about to come up. But if you have seen Avengers Endgame, enjoy the trailer. Everywhere I go, I see his face. I just really miss him.
Yeah, I miss him too. I don't think Tony would have done what he did if he didn't know that you were going to be here after he was gone.
You gonna be the next Iron Man now?
Well, no, I don't have time. I'm too busy doing your jobs.
Oh.
I'm kidding. Look, keep up the good work. Because I am going on vacation.
Heads up, Nick Fury's calling you.
I don't really want to talk to Nick Fury. Why?
Because if you don't talk to him, then I have to talk to him. I don't want to talk to him. You sent Nick Fury to voicemail?
I gotta go.
You do not ghost Nick Fury.
What up, dorks? What's up? We're just talking about the trip.
I'm here in St. Marco Polo's. Oh,
I think MJ really likes me.
That reminds me when I first fell in love.
You're a very difficult person to contact,
Spider-Man.
This is Mr. Beck.
We could have used someone like you on my world.
Your world?
Beck is from Earth, just not ours. The snap to our hole in our dimension.
You're saying there's a multiverse?
We have a job to do, and you're coming with us.
There's gotta be someone else you can use. What about Thor?
Off-world.
Captain Marvel? Unavailable. But I'm just a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Bitch, please, you've been to space.
What do you want, Peter?
I want to go back on my trip with the girl who I really like and tell her how I feel. MJ, I
am Spider-Man.
No, of course I'm not.
I mean, it's kind of obvious.
You're right, you may not be ready, but this is my responsibility. Saving the world requires sacrifice. Sometimes people die.
Oh my God. I just always feel like I'm putting my friends in danger. The world needs the next Iron Man.
You going to step up or not?
Out of here! Get on the jet!
Who are you?
I work with Spider-Man.
You work for Spider-Man?
I work with Spider-Man, not for Spider-Man. New plan!
Ooh, what a trailer. Ooh, I want to get trailed by this movie.
You will. Whenever I missed the release date. God damn it.
Well, so this movie seems like it is a very direct sequel to Endgame.
Yeah, after watching that trailer, definitely. You wouldn't have been able to tell from that first one. And when the first trailer came out, they didn't mention anything about Endgame to the point where I thought like, oh, this is going to be a true standalone movie. Like, life goes on.
We had so many questions when it came out because the trailer came out before Endgame and we were thinking like, what were the consequences? Oh, here are the people we knew survived. And
yeah, the only thing that spoiled was like Spider-Man's alive. Like, and there's no, sign of Tony Stark.
Yeah, or Happy, who is in this movie quite a bit, or in this trailer quite a bit.
Yeah, and then that's it was very weird. It's a weird part. It's a weird move on Sony's part to have done that like in the past before Endgame.
Well, we see that Spider-Man is in mourning, and of course we know that Iron Man is gone. So there's this really big empty hole in the world, kind of like the death of Superman, kind of, I guess, huh? But of course, this is not that. But there's a lot of
like sacrilegious here.
I know.
A lot of people
say that.
Andrew would be proud, but everyone else would be pissed.
But we're kind of left in this interesting hole, and I feel like that what's really cool is Spider-Man seems like he doesn't really want to be the savior of everything in a way, because he wants to take a break. I mean, this is all stuff from just the trailer, so
that's really cool. That's very Spider-Man-esque. Like Spider-Man's kind of always wants to do his own shit. It's the fact that he has to do the Spider-Man stuff that pisses him off. Like, that's what creates the drama.
Nick Fury tells him, "You've been to space, bitch."
Yeah.
Or bitch, you've been to space. Very different reading of that. Wait, I'm going to say something to you, okay? Tell me which one feels better. Ready?
Okay.
You've been to space, bitch. And here's a second one. Bitch, you've been to space. Which one works better? Should it be in the middle? You've been, bitch, to space.
You've been, bitch, to space.
Or do we need more? Bitch, you've been bitch to bitch space bitch.
You've been to that bitch in space. I don't know. Shit.
It's funny because someone goes unnamed emailed me saying we cuss too much, and now we probably have.
Yeah, I think that was a little bit to work out here. This bitchin' bit.
Yeah. I won't bleep it.
Anyway, to answer your original question, they both sound pretty strong. I guess if you were telling them to like someone, if you're trying to be serious with someone,
this movie doesn't even seem that much of a Spider-Man movie. I will tell you, because it is.
Really?
It is a Spider-Man movie in name.
It's in the title.
It's in the title, but this is not a small town New York consequence that you're dealing with the gaping hole that is who's the next Iron Man. You're dealing with Nick Fury and him wanting you to step up and be more. And you're dealing with, of course, like a lot. I feel like that the friends of Spider-Man makes this a Spider-Man movie.
Right.
But then you're also dealing with what we're going to talk about probably for a length here. Dimensional travel, separate Earths and worlds and Mysterio, and kind of this insane new chapter for Marvel that makes you think like, what are we gonna do now?
Mm-hmm. It's very interesting. I don't know if any of this stuff is actually. I mean, they said it in the trailer, and they say it. I think in a clip, which is not in the trailer.
Yeah.
Because you have to go and seek out that clip.
What's the clip?
Well, apparently, there's a clip floating around the internet that establishes this Marvel universe as the 616 universe. I have kind of a problem with that, and some other people who, again, they didn't watch the clip, but I saw people's reactions, like on a forum there to the clip, and people have a problem with because there's only one Marvel 616. Like if we're talking about multiverses, if we can get really nerdy here, 616 is the comic universe.
Just for the comics.
Previously, they have established that the MCU is something else, like it's Earth 3000 or Earth 11119 or something like that.
But don't you remember the trivia game where they directly reference Earth 616 in the storage locker that Ant-Man was in or something like that?
Yeah, I get it. It's just like it's kind of weird because like now you're thinking that like now there's like it's almost like again this
you
is
don't like
very,
things mixing.
This is very nitpicky because of obviously like the movies are a very different thing, but like it is cool to think of like the movie universe as like a pantheon of all these like Marvel multiverses. If they're introducing the multiverse, I'm gonna go ahead and bring up DC. I mean, I hate doing this, but DC treats all of his universes as separate. So like all of them. So like there is a comic universe, there is a TV universe, there is a movie universe.
There's even multiple movie universes at this point.
Yeah, multiple movie universes, and apparently those are all like kind of canon.
Yeah.
So like they all like
we've had what like 4 Jokers in the last 20 years or something crazy.
About to be a 5th one, I guess. Eventually, Marvel in saying that this one is 616 kind of like overwrites your continuity and be like, this is where the multiverse starts. And I just had a problem with it because of something in the past where like they've established that the MCU is part of the multiverse, but it's not the main verse because it's obviously not the main.
It's just one of them.
Yeah, because like Ground Zero is like the 616 universe. It's where the comic started.
Well, even the introduction of this universe is interesting on the tail of Endgame, where we just saw some of our favorite characters go, and we saw the consequences and the levity of those moments, and Thanos' snap and all that crazy stuff. And to introduce different universes where either that stuff didn't happen or like it's very interesting because it's almost like a big ol' it could be a big ol' eraser for like it's basically just almost erasing everything that Endgame was.
You can play a lot with it. I think I said I was talking to my buddy of mine that this also opens up regardless of like the nitpicking stuff that I just said earlier.
Yeah.
This opens up endless possibilities for where the damn, I feel like I was just like I yelled there and I peaked. Sorry guys, headphone.
I peaked in high school.
You don't have to tell me. I was there. No, I'm just playing. That got a little dark really quickly.
I'm wearing my Letterman right now.
Kind of like Pikachu. No, yeah, the possibilities are again, like I said, are endless. This also opens up, I can think, a window for Sony to take back their Spider-Man. It's a very depressing thought to think about, but like since they've established like a multiverse here in these Spider-Man movies, again because they haven't made any other MCU ones.
It's funny that the other Sony Spider-Man movie that did well last year also dealt with multiverses.
So like you got to be kind of thinking that like what if Sony's thinking they're onto something here? And I think now because we're post Endgame, they may be a little bit more accepting to that. Maybe audiences will like seeing. Tom Holland's Spider-Man fight with like Venom or something,
or
like,
just another Spider-Man. That would be interesting too, because technically you can
bring them back. You can bring you can bring Garfield or
Tobey Maguire,
back. Yeah,
Andrew Garfield, Miles Morales.
Yeah, you can do all of that stuff, and I think it like I get the strangest feeling it might happen.
Yeah, I also read a theory though that throws a wrench in all of this is that Mysterio is a liar and he just makes up this whole multiverse thing anyways.
I think we're getting to that point where exactly like Mysterio's like his whole thing is that like he uses lies and deceit to beat his enemies.
Yeah,
so they could be all just
lying.
BS.
Yeah. I mean, Nick Fury's been tricked before. #Hydra. So I mean, that's
the only thing that like I guess. People think that Mysterio's not lying is because like they think that Fury is too smart to fall for that.
Oh yeah.
That being said, Mysterio is like he's kind of like a B list or C list like villain, Spider-Man villain. I still like since this is his first and his first appearance in the MCU, I feel like he can trick the shit out of all of them. Like all these elemental people that he's fighting, which are
what are they
kind
called?
of like abridged versions of. They're called the Elementals in this movie,
like the water thing.
but
and
like they're named after Spider-Man. Like the merchandise, I guess, they're named after Spider-Man villains. Like Sandman, Hydro Man. Hydro Man is an actual villain. It's like Sandman, but he just turns into water. Molten Man. They're all named after basically those villains, and
we
I think those are all constructs of Mysterio.
Yeah. What's really exciting though is because of the way Marvel movies are, including Civil War and just the way all these Marvel movies are, like you don't really know specifically who the villain is. And think about like 10 or 20 years ago, you'd see a trailer like this and you would know straightforward, this is the villain, this is the hero. But even watching a trailer like this, you're really not even 100% sure. For example, Civil War, those trailers just showed the Avengers fighting each other with no villain. Or even in like Guardians Volume 2, you didn't really see a villain, who the villain was in those trailers. So it's kind of weird that we're at this point where now Marvel doesn't necessarily need to show a villain to make you think that there's going to be this conflict. I don't know if that makes any sense, but there's going to be this crazy plot or this conflict anyways.
And there has to be,
without knowing exactly who's lying and who's not.
Yeah, yeah, I guess you can't really slice it any other way than that, because at the end of the day, these characters they're wearing a costume, so they got to like fight someone. They got to punch something that's it's like required.
So I asked, speaking of multiverse, we asked our Twitter listeners, our tweeters, what they're most excited for with the multiverse, what potential things, because again, the multiverse expands the realm of possibilities for Marvel technically, because again, you're talking about how the comic books are. There are multiple universes in them.
Right, yeah. These can be standalone pictures now. You might have like a Joker-esque movie in like the MCU now. Where
technically, they can just have a Joker movie. Marvel can have its own Joker movie.
Yeah, that's
I'm
true.
just kidding.
Yeah,
no, they can't.
Marvel's the Joker.
How exciting. Played by. Who would you have play that role? Because now we have everyone who possibly can have.
In the Joker role?
Yeah.
Like for Marvel's
for Marvel,
the Joker?
Yeah. Oh, no. Okay, so we asked them, what possible multiverse thing are you most excited for? I'm going to go in order of least. So, interesting, Killmonger coming back, 13%, because if I'm not mistaken, he's going to be in Black Panther 2.
He's casting it.
So that's an interesting thing, because we were like, how does he come back? But even if it's not a multiverse Killmonger that comes over, they do also talk about coming back from the dead in the Black Panther movies, so it's definitely possible. They have
that's true.
A lot of reincarnation that happens.
Maybe the destruction of the stones fucks the soul stone up or something.
He
Maybe
got unsnapped.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So some people said Doctor Strange having to fix all of this, which is an interesting idea. That's
really
gonna be
cool.
Fun.
That's a cool plot point for a single movie that he has.
Because this is his job. And I think I texted you guys, if the multiverse is fucked up, then Doctor Strange fucked up. Because that's his job.
Yeah, to protect it and to protect the knowledge of it. I guess I feel like
if all of this is happening, then he's definitely screwed now. Number 2 that everyone's excited for is Fantastic Four, which could be a multiverse thing.
Fantastic Four,
which we still haven't talked about, but really exciting to think about.
Yeah, I think everyone's waiting for that. I think I don't know if I said this on the last one. I think the next big event will be the introduction of those of the Fox heroes.
I think the Fantastic Four fit in this world pretty okay. Like they're not too out there.
I don't know.
They're pretty similar.
Their origin story, their origin is just going to have to be. I don't mean to cut you off. Sorry, what were you saying? Sorry.
No, that was it. I was just saying they fit. I could see them fitting in the MCU more than any of the other new
like X-Men
Fox.
or something.
Yeah,
because their origin is very like. This is gonna sound stupid. Their origin is very origin-y.
Yeah,
like it's like the first Marvel thing that happened, like or in the current 616 universe in the comics. So like they were the ones who like went out first and then got powers, and no one had seen powers like that yet. Now they're coming into a dimension where everyone technically has powers. Like it's like your neighbor will probably have powers.
So they predate the Avengers. In the comic books, like they're the original.
They're
group.
the start of like I think the 616 universe, because after that they like Iron Man and Spider-Man. I think Spider-Man was like the next big one after that.
But the reason why I say that they're easily fittable into the MCU is they're only 4 people. You don't have to upend anything or change anything. You just need to give 4 more people powers.
Contracts.
Yeah, contracts. Hashtag John Krasinski, Jim from The Office as
the Thing.
The Human Torch.
Oh,
I'm just kidding. But yeah, it'd be funny if Chris Evans comes back as the Human Torch, baby. Again. Of course, we talked about it a little bit right now, but the number one thing everyone wants, do you want to guess? In this multiverse?
X-Men?
Shit, yeah, it's X-Men. The difficulty thing there is X-Men, you're dealing with mutants and you're talking about thousands, if not millions of people being affected by this mutation thing.
Like it's like an event. And the thing about mutants, though, too, is kind of weird is that mutants are frowned upon. Like, unlike all the other super people that, go on in the comics, and I'm not sure how they feel about them now, but there's always like these animosity towards mutants as opposed to like your local costume superhero.
It's the strength of the X-Men franchise is they have this weird struggle that could be associated to any minority or other groups.
Yeah, just like any type of segregation in general.
Almost like an anti-fascist type thing going on in the X-Men world. But yeah, that's a weird conflict to have in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Because that conflict still happens in the regular Marvel Universe. Yeah. Like, people are cool with the Avengers, but like, no, fuck these X-Men. Like, get them out of my face.
The only thing I can see happening for the MCU, if they want to do this quickly, like, in really quickly, is the fact that they're not even going to lean into the mutant part of it and just have characters,
just people like that
from the X-Men. Like, here's Wolverine. He's Wolverine. He has this weird backstory.
You know who Wolverine is.
Yeah,
like Spider-Man. Like Spider-Man. Like they gloss over his origin. Like, he got bit by a spider. He lives with his aunt.
And in a way, I feel like that may work better because if they rehash this,
like Professor Xavier, like and Magneto war and stuff, like that's kind of weird.
And like Magneto ultimately wanting to kill all humans. I mean, that could still work at the MCU actually. But having that mutant factor where they even find a cure for mutants, and because that's already been done. Like there's plenty of X-Men movies.
Watch X-Men 3.
Dark Phoenix.
It's kind of crazy though because like throwing the X-Men into the vote, I can see everyone's excitement because some X-Men are stronger than your typical Marvel hero. Apocalypse, the comic version of Apocalypse, is like unstoppable. He's like he might as well have been a Thanos or like an Ultron because he like doesn't just kill. During the Age of Apocalypse, he doesn't just wipe out like X-Men. He wipes out like the Earth. Like he wipes out all of the costume heroes because like no one can touch him. Like other than like some X-Men characters.
No, I don't know if you
Magneto.
Oh, yeah, talk about Magneto.
Having Magneto in an environment where the Avengers Cap can't throw a shield at him. Like and Falcon can't fly around him. And you know what I mean? Like it's just like War Machine to get out of here. Like.
Does that happen in the comic books where the X-Men cross over with the Avengers or Spider-Man? I mean, Spider-Man joins the X-Men, doesn't he?
It happens all the time. Like they're their own thing. Like I feel like the X-Men universe, because it's so big and it's like its own little corner of the Marvel universe. That being said, they do every type of big event always shows like either from an Avengers point of view or other superheroes point of view. They always show like an X-Men point of view. Charles Xavier is like one of the central characters. Wolverine is a big one because he's like technically immortal. Mm-hmm. Like nothing can really.
He lives through everything. Yeah.
So it's going to be really, really interesting to see how that dynamic is set up because it's again like I don't know how you slice it in a MC in an MCU world where it all like it seems like heroes are glorified.
Yeah.
Like it's literally the age of heroes.
The humans really can't do anything,
Right. And because you always see these mutant things, and even in the original X-Men movies, I guess. I'm not sure about how the comics are going now. I'm kind of like, I'm out of touch. But it's like people were like using tear gas to like, get rid of these mutants and, stuff
it's like
that.
Watchmen kind of world.
Yeah, and then these Cyclops can just blast a crowd if he wanted to.
And at this point, the superheroes have saved the planet multiple times, so there would be no reason to dislike them. Because you're like, well...
And I think I think we just literally figured out. But again, we're rehashing what we've already seen.
Yeah.
Because all you really have to do is just introduce a group of bad superhero people, which would be the Brotherhood of Mutants.
Interesting.
Like with Magneto. But, we've seen that in X-Men 1. You know what I mean? It's...
Like an Avengers of bad guys even,
Yeah. But the thing is, but again, you're just rehashing the plot of the first X-Men movie.
That's true, because that happens quite a bit almost in every X-Men movie.
Yeah, there's always a group of bad mutants that just... don't like the good mutants. So
I think that's also a huge reason why I think the Fantastic Four will come out sooner. But one of the other big points to make is there are still X-Men movies that have not released.
Yeah, and I think that's like
So they can't go too quickly.
Right. I mean, I think that's why they're waiting for that because I was like, you can't.
When does Dark Phoenix come out? Like in a couple weeks.
In a couple of weeks, yeah, and like it's
and
not
then,
even.
What's the other one that?
The New Mutants.
New Mutants. It comes out
like further later in the year. Yeah, that's why I think it's. I think Feige really wants people to forget about this current iteration of X-Men.
Which will be hard to do if there's another same studio is releasing.
I mean, because like. I don't know, because it can work out. I mean, Spider-Man came like literally 2 years after the Amazing Spider-Man. It was like very, very,
no rules
very
there.
quick.
Yeah.
That being said, he was very, very different from the original, from the Garfield one. Like no origin story. This is who he is. It's this character.
And he was introduced in a Civil War film, which was already filled with superheroes.
Right. And so it's just one more hero, and it's Spider-Man now. X-Men, you have to tread really lightly with that.
In reality, only Wolverine, I think, has that credibility where you're kind of like, okay,
you know who he is.
I'm cool. Yeah, he's in. All the other ones, I think, just general public wise, they'd be like, who the fuck? Like, who is this guy?
But
you
also,
got to give me a little something.
I mean, Spider-Man wears a mask though, so you could have put any kid behind there and then have him just ham up the Spider-Man character.
Yeah,
and it would have worked. That being, not taking away from Tom Holland's
dang, Tom Holland, open invite.
No, because Tom Holland was great and he really nailed the character. But the fact is, he has a mask. You can't just have a random fuzzy Wolverine show up. I mean, that's not Hugh Jackman. People will probably be alienated by that.
And it's a huge decision too, because just like every other casting of the major heroes in the MCU, this is the next decade of your life. This is
right. Yeah,
you're signing on to this. You're going to be a really big part of pop culture for a really, really long time.
And X-Men is a very before the Avengers. Came around cinematically, X-Men were very, very popular.
Yeah. It was one of the only times
iconic,
you could see a group of superheroes together and fight with each other. But just the same thing as, the same reason why X-Men may take a little longer to be made is the same reason why I think Fantastic Four is going to be a quicker thing to add. The last Fantastic Four movie, it's been a while already.
Yeah, it's been a long while.
The Josh Trank version didn't do that great. But the ones that were commercially successful with Silver Surfer and stuff, that came out quite a while ago. So
they came out.
There's time. There's been time.
We did a podcast.
On the Silver Surfer, I think. Right?
One,
one of the first ones we did, I think, very early.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy.
So there's a Marvel material there.
There's some material.
Of the sequel.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm still excited about it. I can't wait. I'm sure they're going to do just fine. I don't know, but it seems like multiverse has to happen because you can imagine a place where the snapping didn't get reversed because there's 22 million universes where that happened. Or actually, the rest of the universes, other than the one we're in, is the only one that...
Yeah,
right? Because it's one out of the 23. But I could see... So this is my theory, and this is just speculation, but I could see a world where we're in Aftermath Endgame, and people end up hating superheroes because they couldn't save half the world and introduce...
That's where the
X-Men type stuff.
Oh,
if we are doing multiverse type stuff...
That seems way more... That's
plausible.
Cool little thing.
Two worlds.
Because they said that when he did the snap, there was a giant surge of cosmic energy that could have mutated people in one of those timelines.
And there's a very weird thing where even if the Avengers went into that world to save things, they wouldn't necessarily be doing any favors to the mutants. Does that make sense? Because the humanity hates them anyways. So
right.
Having more superheroes come in to save everything would just make them angrier. And then partially Doctor Strange will be like, we can't interfere anyway, so fuck it. But yeah, that's just obviously I wrote the script and I sent it to Disney, so we'll see.
I was about to say
I wrote it on spec.
I think you just did write that script. They're about to I
know, God, I gotta email this copy to myself to poor man copyright this and not open the envelope. But yeah, Spider-Man, I feel like we're projecting a lot into Spider-Man Far From Home. And none of this will be in that movie.
Yeah. Probably 98% of all what we just said is just speculation.
I know. And Disney just released their schedule, and we kind of know what movies are going to come out in the next 2 years, and none of them are X-Men or Fantastic Four.
Well, they all say unnamed Marvel movies. So
I mean, we know there's active. We know there's casting for the Black Widow thing and the Eternals thing.
The Eternals,
and we know
Shang-Chi,
Guardians is already kind of booked in there somewhere.
Oh, you're totally right. Yeah, we know what's coming. It's not X-Men.
Yeah, where would X-Men fit in the next 3 years?
I can see a Deadpool movie being released between now and then.
True that, yeah.
But I can also see that being its very own thing. I do not see that crossing over into the MCU anytime soon.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting thing because Feige has never touched the Deadpool franchise.
No.
That is successful. So does and he has that hands off approach sometimes too with his filmmakers, but these are not his filmmakers. So is it super hands off where he's like, okay, well just do your own thing. I don't even know where you come into this, or is it I'm gonna set up shop and fuck shit up in here? I don't think you can. Ryan Reynolds not only acts in it, but is a big part of the behind the scenes.
He's like The Rock,
thing.
he's basically he's the one in charge, not anybody else.
He is the captain now. That's a reference to Captain Phillips.
It is.
But yeah, any other big MCU stuff or anything from Spider-Man? I mean, we're both the first weekend of July, so is when Spider-Man comes out. We don't have to wait too long. Considering this is like post Endgame, like you really don't have to wait too long. Can you imagine? Can you imagine getting out of like Revenge of the Sith? Is that what it was? Revenge of the Sith, and being like, well, I got to wait 4 years now to see what happens next.
Oh, the next one.
And here we are. You just have to wait a month, and then you know what happens next.
And then after that,
you're all so spoiled. We're so spoiled.
They also, Disney said that apparently Marvel should release their Phase 4 announcements pretty soon. I think around the time Spider-Man comes out.
Yeah.
That could be a really smart strategy. Maybe in releasing the names of these is kind of spoil what's going on. So
there's a lot of importance too to the first Phase 4, whatever Phase 4 Marvel movie comes out first. You have to think of it as like how Iron Man set up the next phase. I think you got to think of it in that light.
Yeah, it's going to be it's like a new era. Phase 4 is just I don't even think it's an actual phase. I feel like Phase 3 is where it ended. Yeah. And this is just a new era or something.
It's going to be a weird thing. Weird pressure for whoever makes it, but also it could just be a movie with a character we already know, so it's not that much pressure.
Right.
It could just be Black Widow, or,
it could be.
And then you're like, okay, I kind of know
We've never
her.
gotten, the confirmation for Black Widow, too. What if, Black Widow is, something we don't really, expect? It's a alternate universe Black Widow movie or something.
Yeah, that's another big thing, too, because the Russos have said that her death will be explored in further movies. I don't know what the fuck that means, how cryptic that is, but yeah, who knows? Who knows?
Who knows?
Not us.
But not us.
But that's it for this episode of Countdown to Infinity and Avengers podcast. If you like this, you will love Revenge of the Sequel, which is back with new episodes.
Yeah, woo!
I think
my enthusiasm is awesome.
John Wick Chapter 2 is out this week. Next week we have this cool thing planned. Mummy Returns is already on there.
Yeah, Mummy Returns. John Wick 3 is coming eventually.
Yeah. Godzilla. I'm sure we're going to talk about Godzilla.
Fucking Zilla.
I'm scared to death because it seems like box office projections are not great for Godzilla.
Which is so crazy because it looks, out of all these movies that we were talking about, Detective Pikachu, even to me, over Endgame, Godzilla looks epic.
Godzilla looks fantastic.
Every shot you've seen from a trailer looks like it can be on the cover of a fucking metal album.
Yeah.
It's just a giant dragon or some sort of giant monster over a cross.
And it's testing so really well right now. People are responding to it and be like, this is an insane cinematic experience type thing.
That being said, I think even if it does bad, they're gonna just close out their universe with Godzilla vs. Kong,
which is already shot, I think.
Yeah,
right?
It's already shot. I can't wait for Godzilla. The early review said that everything that you hated about the first Godzilla movie about it not being Godzilla heavy is fixed in this movie.
Oh yeah, they said watch it on the biggest screen humanly possible.
I can't fucking wait. It's just
I'm gonna watch it on my phone.
I don't understand why people don't want to see. I get it. Someone at work said if you look at it that way, it makes sense. Someone at work was like, there's literally 50 or 40 Godzilla movies. He's like, so he's like, there's so many, and there's all it is just monster brawling.
Mm.
And then I was like, well, you put it that way. I get your the unappeal, but it's you've never had one with a Hollywood budget. None of these have been CGI to the point where they I want to say photorealistic because there's no
Gareth
such
Edwards'
thing as
first
that.
Godzilla made me buy in, just the way he filmed it, and I think we talked about it maybe on a pod, but the way that he chooses the perspective of humans looking up to Godzilla, which sounds like a small thing, but it really is not. I think everything in Hollywood is telling you get a wide shot or get a make it look so we can see the whole Godzilla. But he decided no, I'm going to be really disciplined about this. We're going to shoot from people's point of view, and it worked because you were I feel like even though you were sitting in a seat, you were looking up to Godzilla the whole movie, and you're like, fuck, this is humongous, this thing that is insane.
Yeah, that's a movie I'll definitely see. Even opening night, probably in IMAX.
Oh yeah. You gotta watch it in IMAX.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Sorry about that. That's Godzilla is not Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah, it's bigger, literally.
Yeah, in size only.
Yeah, in size only.
But yeah, so Revenge of Sequels there. If you want to support the pod, go to patreon.com/DelfinPod. We're about to record a really quick fun segment for just Patreon, but thank you guys so much. I think we only need a couple more. Well, yeah, we need a lot of patrons, but yeah, so it would really help. And you get episodes.
We're satisfied.
I
Just the way you
know.
say it.
We have a Detective Pikachu episode up there, but we have a lot of episodes there just for you, our Patreon subscribers. And then review the pod too. What else do you have to plug, John?
That's about it. Just listen to all your Delfin Pod podcasts. I think you just said that. Listen to your Sticker Fridge podcasts. Go listen to Director Showdown. You might find if you listen to Director Showdown this week, you might find a pretty funny surprise.
Yeah, May 20th.
Yeah,
on May 20th, Director Showdown.
Yeah, not this week. My bad. Sorry. May 20th. Be on the lookout for that Director Showdown podcast on the Sticker Fridge Network. It's gonna be fun.
Yes.
And I don't know why I'm downplaying the Revenge of the Sequel episode. There's a Revenge of the Sequel episode launching that same day, and it's
also fun.
It's also fun. Yeah. Listen to both. They kind of complement each other. It's there's something interesting going on there, so it's pretty cool.
Thanks for listening.
Later.